Hello and welcome to a brand new series of Going Bush, the program about Australia's forests and the people who work in them.
Now, the timber industry is one of those that tends to generate a little bit of static, so over the next 5 weeks we will attempt to give it some clean air as we take you backstage into the working forests of Australia.
This one.
And off you go. In Andrew's case, you hope there's a large and aggressive tiger snake not far away. The heartland, Andrew, of the state's native timber production. You no longer have people standing out in the bush able to be getting hit by trees. Never felt safer in my life, Andrew.
Going bush, going bush, going bush.
There is an eye in the sky. Oh, this is going to end well. On today's show, fire and forestry, how a little burn now can stop a tragedy down the track. Sawdust in the veins, how a family of foresters are growing their own future and keeping our communities chugging along. Just how important is the forest industry in regional Australia?
Straight into it, and we find ourselves on Tasmania's east coast at a beautiful little hamlet called Scamander.
Peaceful, tranquil here in Scamander, but just a few years ago this place was actually seen to one of Tassie's worst bushfires. It does have the lovely Tasman Sea out there,
yes, it does.
But up the back it has ironbark forests, and they are forests that love to burn.
Tasmania's east coast is a beautiful part of Australia with white sandy beaches and crystal clear water. But on the evening of December 11, 2006, it was the scene of one of Tasmania's most destructive fires.
It looked like an atomic mushroom cloud, and firefighters who faced the blaze actually described the fire front like a detonating bomb.
It came with little warning, a massive bushfire on a collision course with the northeastern township of Scamander.
Crews dug in along the southern outskirts of Scamander, attempting to protect property, but were forced into a desperate retreat.
A roar, I mean the wind itself, the self-generation of the wind from the fire, I mean, beyond all belief.
The Weather Bureau has warned there is no reprieve in sight, predicting conditions will worsen later this week.
The fire burned more than 15,000 hectares, destroying more than 20 homes.
So at the moment we're sort of all just gutted and just walking around sort of not knowing quite what to do.
Local mayor of the area, Sarah Schmerl, says residents will never forget the blaze.
I was at work that day and I recall someone coming in saying that there was a fire at the back of Scamander, and when I had a look outside you could just see the looming flames sort of coming over the area, and the smoke was very thick and people were starting to really panic then. It was obvious it was getting close to the township.
Amazingly, the main fire claimed only property, though 3 weeks later, a young Forestry Tasmania trainee, blacking out smouldering remnants, was killed when a tree came down across his vehicle. Jump forward 6 years, and early one spring morning forestry crews are waiting to see if the weather conditions are as predicted to allow a fuel reduction burn.
We've had wind and showers and all sorts of stuff, and the SDI's crept up to about 70, so our problem today is that on a fair bit of the burning you'll be doing, it'll burn quite well.
The plan is to burn more than 2,500 hectares. It's a big area, but one if left untouched could cause major issues into the future.
Well, Forestry Tasmania undertakes burning to reduce fuel loads. If you reduce fuel load, you reduce the intensity of any subsequent fires on that area for a period of up to 10 years, and that makes it easier for either forestry fire crews or Tasmania Fire Service personnel to get in and fight any fire which subsequently occurs in that area.
These are low intensity fires that creep around on the ground, and generally they don't even burn away the logs that are laying on the ground that the bugs and things live in. But it burns away litter and twigs and some of the low scrub.
With the weather perfect and the ground crews fully briefed, it's into the bush to start the burn, which will last for at least a couple of days.
Rightio, well we have come up to where the burn will begin in our new fire suits, it has to be said, Dogs.
Never felt safer in my life, Andrew, but from little things, big things grow. This is the first lighting up of one of the perimeter boundaries of this relatively large fire that they're lighting today.
It's relatively large, it's 2,500 hectares. There's 35 people just going around the 2,500 hectares lighting it up. We start on the outside and work our way in. As we drive through the forests near the burn site, it's easy to identify areas which have been burnt in the last few years and those which are in need of some more maintenance.
So Bob, here is a fuel reduction burn that you prepared earlier. Tell us the story of this piece of bush.
We burnt this one 3 years ago. It had very heavy fuel build-up, and the fuels were substantially reduced.
Yep.
Now, after 3 years, they've probably built back up to 3 or 4 tonnes per hectare, but it's still the way we'd like to see it.
Manageable on one of those really hot, windy summer's day. If a bushfire did get going, crews would be able to fight it?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Nick. Yeah, so it would be very easy for a crew to come in here and suppress a fire, even though it's in very dry sort of country.
Yeah, right. And that makes it easier for Tasmania's fire service. The TFS happy with its preventative work now, meaning their job should be easier when it comes to the hotter months.
By the time these 2 burns are done today, this 2,500 hectares, we'll have a situation where the country all back behind the townships have got pretty much a protective ring around them, so we can't get the big fires swooping in.
Tasmania Fire Service has a strong partnership with Forestry Tasmania. These types of strategic burns play a vital role to provide added protection to the communities in this area.
After the break, we call in the aerial cavalry to really heat things up, plus still to come, a forest dynasty planting for the future.